It's The List and your boy with Jimmy Van and Sean Ross Sapp.
All right, you guys are live.
'Twas 5 days before Christmas, and all through the net, Jimmy Van and SRS were the best you could get. They talked the XFL, a terrible decision, and maybe we'll talk about penis incisions. Daniel Cormier spoke out. He didn't like the Young Bucks. All this was on Fightful, and it sure didn't suck. No need to concern, it's not a political show, unlike Billy Gunn, who somehow both sucks and he blows. A women's Royal Rumble, that's kind of cool. Until Mother Goose Stephanie starts acting a fool. 205 Live is out on the road. Visit Fightful so SRS can get a speedboat. Hopefully on Christmas, you get many toys. But now it's time for The List and your boy.
Good job. Okay, who wrote that? Was that you?
I wrote that when I was trying to think of a description for today's show.
Did you memorize it?
Jimmy, I do this for a living. I write words
No,
for a
but
living.
I know you write words for a living, but your eyes were moving around so often that it didn't look like you were reading.
I wasn't reading.
You had to have been. There's no way you memorized that.
Y'all just... Jimmy, you got something special with me. You have a top guy right here.
No, there's a reason why he's saying that, unless he told you the story. There's a reason why he's saying that. Yeah, and we're gonna get to the.
Ooh, it's because I send your office treats.
Yeah, that was very kind of you. Sean and I had a little heated discussion late last week. Was it late last week? I think.
Yeah, late last week.
Where we had a little disagreement on something.
Oh.
But the package.
Jimmy wanted to pay me like $200,000, and I was like, Jimmy, no, no.
That's exactly what you said. Yeah. You ever seen?
Like, just give me the speedboat, and we're good.
Have you ever seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
I have. I love the movie.
So I love that movie. When you just at that moment were yelling out no like that, it reminded me of the virginal guy with the redheaded wife, and she wanted to have sex and he didn't.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
As soon as he said no like
next
that.
to a sewage system.
Yeah. I love that movie. I've seen it so many times.
Here's a fun story. You remember the guy who slaughtered the pig?
Yes.
The Hawaiian guy? He fought in the first UFC fight ever.
What? That guy?
That's Taylor Tooley. He got beat up by Gerard Gordeau in the first UFC fight ever.
Yeah, the kick to the face.
Yep.
It was that guy?
That's him.
No
Isn't that
shit.
crazy?
No shit.
Pretty wild, right?
The one that Jason Seeger said you look like a giant baby? That guy?
Yes. And who
No
like
way.
he had him help kill a pig
Yeah,
as part
that's
of
right.
therapy,
Yeah.
essentially.
I can't believe that's the same guy.
Crazy.
Interesting. So, first and foremost, thank you for the gift package. That was very kind of you. And
Wanted to hook up my Toronto friends with some stuff that doesn't suck from Kentucky.
that was awesome. And the next time we talk on this show, it's going to be after Christmas. So, well, obviously we talk off air, but happy holidays to you and yours, Sean.
Thank you.
And everybody watching the show, happy holidays. I know that the political climate we're in now, you're not supposed to say Merry Christmas anymore. And that's why I made a point of saying, well, no, that's why I made a point of saying that tomorrow, my company party, it's our annual Christmas party. Because that's what it is, Nigel.
Hey,
But,
I'm not going to be offended.
Just sad that I'm not there.
So I'm going to have Nigel.
This is how I look right now.
That picture is really making the rounds, huh? I'm going to have Nigel and probably Lindsay from my team document it for you. And,
Great.
And I'm getting the cash tomorrow for the food challenges, so we'll get some nice.
Oh boy.
Some nice footage for you.
Well, let's talk about the old ones. Like Melissa, really disappointed in my opinion. She, for as much shit as she talks throughout the week, she didn't. I was excited to see her fill her face and not be able to talk shit to me for a little while. She failed.
I mean, it was gnocchi poutine. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's a pretty.
Well,
heavy dish.
Nicola like just went above and beyond. Now she did have a handicap though, and there was a little bit of controversy, as can be seen in my Toronto blog, my Toronto video blog.
You know what? Nicola is like 5'6". I'm not going to say her weight because you always fuck that up with girls, but she's a smaller girl. Alex is probably 6 foot tall, probably 190 pounds, maybe even 200 pounds. I think it was a fair trade-off.
Yeah, I do too. They started to dip this roast beef sandwiches in
water,
soda.
Yeah.
Soda even, I saw.
Oh, really?
That was a savage move.
I've told Alex, if you want to dispute the decision, you know where my office is. Swing by. And it's been 6 months, and I haven't heard anything, Sean.
Damn.
So, I have a lot to cover today, and I'm gonna tell a story today that comes with a lesson, comes with a business lesson that Sean's gonna like. Let's start. I want to first talk about Tom Zink, because growing up in southeastern Ontario, there was a promotion of Montreal called International Wrestling back in the mid '80s, and before Tom Zink went to the WWF with Rick Martel, he was in International Wrestling, and I actually went to a couple of live events in my hometown that they were at, and Tom Zink performed on when I was a kid. I don't even think I was 10 yet at the time. And so it was sad to hear that he passed away. He passed away December 9th at the age of 59 at the North Memorial Medical Center in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. As of now, today is December 20th. What are you doing, Sean?
I have to get my tea, Jimmy.
Where the hell was it?
It was in my mini fridge that I keep in my office.
Oh, all right. I didn't know what was going on. I thought you were going to fall out of your chair.
Yeah, I don't leave this office. I got a fucking colostomy bag and all kinds of stuff.
Do you?
I work really hard for you, Jimmy.
I was telling Sean off the air, I missed the ponytail that you had that made you look like Billy Batty on the Raw podcast.
You need a dick. My wife isn't here to put up my hair. I'm still learning.
Not that I should have segued into a funny moment, but so Tom Zink passed. As of right now, they don't know the cause of death. And something interesting about him that a lot of people may or may not know, he was in the same class in high school in Robbinsdale as Curt Hennig, Rick Rude, and Brady Boone. He was a sole survivor from that group of guys, and now, sadly, he's passed. And Robbinsdale High had, I think John Nord was in that class, Nikita Koloff, not the same class, but the same school. Nikita Koloff, Barry Darsow. It was an interesting one. And, of course...
just those Minnesota boys in general, right? That was one of the great...
It was
of all time. You
the
got
Road
the
Warriors too,
coming out of there.
That's right. Yeah.
As you mentioned, Darso, who was one half of Demolition. Mm-hmm. That's Rick Rude.
Yep. And they were all enormous. They were all huge. These guys. Tom Zink.
Well, there were some things that people took back then.
I don't mean just in terms of muscle, like stature too.
I know, but let's a lot of these guys, unfortunately, as we see, dying before 40, 50, 60.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to you, I don't often get to catch Observer Radio, but I listened because I knew that Tom Zink and Dave Meltzer were buddies back in the day, and I wanted to hear what he had to say. And I wasn't shocked to learn that anybody from that era used steroids. Yeah. And it's what's really sad about this, Jimmy, is nobody knew in the wrestling business for a week,
right,
that he died. Right. Nothing.
That's
and then Bill Apter just kind of dropped the news. And it's sad. I used to have his action figure, the Z-Man action figure. Yep. I said in my news update that I kind of drew comparisons to the ring announcer in WCW to what Greg Hamilton does for Ty Dillinger and what Tony Chimmel did for Edge. When he would scream out the Z-Man, it was a little bit different. It was kind of cool. It added a little something to the Tom Zink character, but...
Yeah, he was a guy, he had all the tools. He had the look. He was a good talker. He was decent in the ring. But the problem was he was pretty notoriously outspoken. He could be difficult to work with. I know he left the WWF because he found out Rick Martel was making more than he was as part of the Can-Am connection, and he had to blow up with Vince McMahon.
Middle of a major push, too.
Yeah. So, and that was kind of how he was, and Dave Meltzer told a story about how when he started being used as a bit of an enhancement talent in WCW, he stopped working out because he thought, well, if I'm going to be enhancement, I need to have the body of enhancement. That was his, and that was kind of, so he was difficult to work with. So he was out of the business by the early to mid 90s. He was out, and he did
36, 37 years old. He was done.
Oh yeah, he was done. Not because he was set financially, because he had kind of burned his bridges. And he did a lot of shoot interviews, and he ripped Rick Martel pretty hard and all that. And not that I'm defending or anybody, but Rick Martel, not a lot of guys are going to shit on Rick Martel. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct.
Very rare, very respected guy, and Tom Zink shit on him pretty hard. It's unfortunate what happened to him, and again, they haven't said the cause of death yet, at least as of today, December 20th. So it's a sad situation. I also
may he rest in peace. That's sad.
For sure.
The little bit of irony is that he and Rick Martel, even though Rick Martel got in the business about 12 years before Tom Zink. They both retired like within months of one another.
Right. Martel, for what I hear, he does very well in real estate in Montreal. So.
Not surprised. Not surprised at all.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to Justin Credible and Scott Hall because those two guys continue to battle their demons. There was a story about an indie show last weekend in Enfield, Connecticut, promoted by Blitzkrieg Pro Wrestling. I saw the video footage. Justin Credible showed up. He was under the influence. He got in the ring. He wanted a microphone. They wouldn't give it to him. They finally were able to get him out of the ring. None of this was planned. He just showed up and went in the ring. And Diamond Dallas Page, to his credit, has reached out to Justin Credible and offered to help him. Scott Hall, he's continued to have setbacks. There was a story that came out about a signing where him and King Kong Bundy were jawing back and forth because Scott Hall was a little under the influence. And I'm going to tell you a little story that I haven't talked about before, and Sean knew about this. A few weeks ago, Scott Hall was in New York doing a memorabilia signing. And he got pretty messed up at that signing and was out the whole night, and they didn't even know if he was going to show up at the signing the next day. I told Sean about it, but I chose not to mention it on the air. I have a friend in New York that saw all this, and I actually hit up Diamond Dallas Page myself and said, I just want to let you know what happened, and you might want to reach out to Scott. And Page actually got back to me and said, I appreciate it, and he was doing so well, and I'm going to hit him up. And I don't know when the Bundy thing happened. Did it happen after the New York thing? I'm not sure the timing of it, but I hope
I know some time had passed between the time that that was reported and what you had mentioned to me, and yeah, we ultimately decided not to run that because it hadn't yet affected anything that he was working on, and it seemed like it was the same thing like with the Ric Flair thing. It's one of those things that we have to really gauge, like, should we report this? And we get that type of stuff all the time. It's Justin Credible, especially, it's a sad thing. He said he had been going to therapy sponsored by WWE, despite reports that he hadn't. He is a guy, another one of these guys who picked up media in wrestling like a little bit before everybody else. Like before a lot of wrestlers had podcasts, Justin Credible was doing these Pro Wrestling 101 videos on YouTube that were just valuable resources for me, for independent wrestlers, for a lot of people. They were very, very good. I really encourage people to go check them out. And I had always thought about reaching out to him about perhaps doing those on our channel. Then I saw the shape he was in, and then I saw like the condition. I started to hear things when I would, I try to ask feelers, people who know them that I know, like what kind of shape they're in. And I would hear he's not in good shape. You don't want him doing that.
Right.
He wouldn't be reliable right now. And that's unfortunate because, I mean, we've seen guys like X-Pac who have overcome addiction. And look at him now. I mean, he's got when his people send me their transcripts of his podcast, I'm always interested. He's very good at what he does. There are so many people like Jake the Snake Roberts had a successful movie. You can't overcome this stuff. And hopefully they do, especially Scott Hall, who got himself in awesome shape.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I want to tell a story about Evander Holyfield, but I'm going to hold off because of our time, because I want to make sure we have enough time. If I can't get to it this week, I will next week, and I can tell the story about this little sweetheart right here, this little trophy.
That butt plug you have?
Yeah, everybody calls it that. Everybody calls it that, yeah. But first, I want to get to the Vince McMahon story because I have some business insight, Sean, about this thing that might explain, at least in part, why he might want to do this. So, Brad Shepard. First off, Nigel, do you know what the XFL is?
First off, Top Rope Travis reported this in September.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so let's give him the credit. Top Rope Travis.
Well, there you go. So I first heard about it then through Brad Shepard. He's an online journalist. He posted on Twitter on December 15th that Vince McMahon is looking to bring back, these are Brad Shepard's words at the time, he's looking to bring back the XFL and may announce it on January 25th. And then David Bixenspan, who does stuff for us, he actually hit up WWE to confirm or deny that story. And WWE released a statement, and this is it, quote, Vince McMahon has established and is personally funding a separate entity from WWE, Alpha Entertainment, to explore investment opportunities across the sports and entertainment landscapes, including professional football. Mr. McMahon has nothing further to announce at this time. And then Chris Harrington, who also does stuff for us, he found that Alpha Entertainment had registered 2 trademarks recently. One is URFL, all capitals, and the other is URFL with a small r, with a little r. And then other sites have been doing trademark research, and they found that another of Vince's companies called VKM Ventures, which I think David said it's the same entity as Alpha, and he renamed the entity. I think that's what he said in one of his stories. But VKM Ventures had registered football trademarks in September, like United Football League, UFL, and the quote, "for the love of football." And Mark Cuban had owned the UFL trademark, and he apparently abandoned it. And so Vince McMahon trademarked it. Now, I got a bunch of info that I want to share that can explain why he might be wanting to do this. The first thing that we need to say, though, is we can't assume based on what we've been told officially, because right now we've heard limited information, right, Sean? So
Yes.
we can't assume based on what we've heard that he's looking to bring back the XFL business model, meaning X number of teams and X number of cities and open-air stadiums and being a viable competitor to the NFL. We can't assume that, because it's too premature to assume that, and everything is speculation at this point. So that's the first thing that we need to say. I think that it's very strategic that he's doing this separately from WWE using his own money, because if he does it under WWE, you're going to potentially kill the stock.
Yes.
And I still think there's an outside chance that they might still hurt the stock, because shareholders might still look at this and say, well, the chairman of the company has shifted his focus on, right?
Should make it shoot up to 40.
Well, maybe if they announced, okay, Paul Levesque is going to be handling the day-to-day business operation. I mean, you never know, but there's a chance it could still hurt the stock. But it'd be worse if he did it under WWE. And a third thing we need to say is, because he's not doing it under WWE, it's clearly not going to be called the XFL, because the XFL trademarks are owned by WWE. And
Yes.
I think that even if he had the access to that, he wouldn't want to utilize it because of the negative stigma attached to XFL, right?
Sure.
So, since this came out, that Vince McMahon is looking to get somehow into pro football again, a lot of wrestling critics and reporters and fans are shitting all over this, saying he's a complete idiot and he's going to, it's going to be a money pit. And that's a very, justifiable thing to say. But Sean, there are some things to look at in terms of why Vince McMahon would want to do this. There are some things that make sense.
Yeah, there's the political landscape, and disclaimer, we're not a political podcast. He's buddies with Donald Trump. His wife is in Trump's cabinet. Donald Trump has railed against the NFL. There is a groundswell of conservatives that haven't necessarily significantly boycotted the NFL, but you've got people like Papa John's saying, well, we're pulling our ads because the kneeling during the national anthem is affecting our ad buys. But you got Pizza Hut saying, hell no, it's not. But either way, there are rumors that maybe he wants to start some sort of conservative football league. And initially I'm like, that's stupid. And then I think, God damn it, Tim Tebow and Colin Kaepernick and Johnny Manziel and Robert Griffin III are out there right now. And if you're going on an entertainment method, you've got 4 guys there who knows if they would even accept deals. But
Well,
Vince McMahon, Colin Kaepernick is a heel.
So I look at this from 2 points of view. As far as why would he be looking to do this? One is his personal situation, personal opinion, and the other is the business aspect of it. From a personal opinion aspect, and this is just my opinion, but I think that Vince McMahon, number one, we know he's got a huge ego. We know he's hugely competitive. We know that he hates to lose. And I think he looks at the XFL as a black mark on his legacy. I think that he doesn't want to be remembered for that. It's probably his biggest corporate failure ever, his biggest financial failure ever as a business venture. And I think he'd like to maybe have a do-over at something outside of pro wrestling, especially in terms of football. And then on top of that, and we've talked about this before, I don't think Vince McMahon wants to be remembered as a wrestling promoter, because I think that he still thinks that pro wrestling is viewed as being this dingy, lowbrow form of entertainment that takes place in Legion halls and stuff. I think that he still has that mentality from the 80s about pro wrestling and how the mainstream looks at it. And so I think he wants to be known as an entertainment tycoon as opposed to a pro wrestling promoter. And that's why that's another reason why I think he's personally into this. But there are business reasons why I think he's into this. The first reason is, and I know this from personal experience, so you know that most of Vince McMahon's income is derived by dividends, right? He pulls in a very minimal salary of $1 million a year. Dividends is where he makes his money. And if I was
Yeah,
gonna
you get taxed less for that, yeah.
well, this is how it works. So I'm gonna assume that he gets paid dividends into a holding company and not personally, right? He probably has a holding company set up, and that's where the dividends go. You can move dividend money tax free between companies, right? That's legal. And so what that means is, if he, let's say, is getting paid dividends into Vince McMahon 12345 LLC,
Yeah.
he can shift that dividend money into Alpha Entertainment, not pay a lick of tax on it. Meaning that, what's the corporate tax rate right now in the U.S.? Like 35%. They're dropping to like, what, 21 next year, I think?
Yeah.
So that means that that's 35% of that dividend money that he's saving by just shifting it into another corp and using it to invest in stuff like this.
Oh, yeah, I got to register myself as an LLC soon. I mean, as an independent contractor, especially, I got to do that.
Well, that's and like personally, I mean, this is what we do in my company. I have a holding company. I'm paid mostly in dividends, and until you pull the money out personally for personal use, you don't pay tax on it.
Dividends and beef jerky.
Dividends and beef jerky. Yeah. So I think the whole dividend thing is one reason, because he can use that money tax free. That's number one. Number two, as I mentioned, the corporate tax rate in the U.S. is going to be dropping. They're expecting from about 35% to about 21%. That's a massive drop, right? And what that means is this venture that he's going to do, Alpha Entertainment, if he turns a profit, because that's a big if, but if he turns a profit, he's only paying 21% tax on it as opposed to 35%, and he's using tax-free dividend money to fund it. So, like, there's a massive tax savings for him to be doing all that, right?
God.
All makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, now it does. It didn't before.
See? Well, this is why I'm here, Sean. Damn it.
I mean, yeah.
But it all makes sense. And then on top of all of that, you talked about it, the decline in popularity of the NFL. Ratings,
not significant. Not significant, I should say that.
Well, but 9% in television ratings. Live attendance is down in some markets.
Television ratings today, to me, don't mean as much because, I mean, good God, you can find streams of anything. Somebody somewhere is probably illegally streaming our free podcast right now.
Yeah, like, but you're right. But obviously, that doesn't benefit the networks that are paying,
of course,
hundreds of millions of dollars for the rights, right? But here's the thing. So the popularity of the NFL is down, and you mentioned the political landscape and kneeling during the national anthem and all that. There is nothing to prove definitively that that's why popularity is down. It's because of the national anthem thing. And I think if that's Vince McMahon's thinking, oh, I'm going to shift away from that, it's going to fail if that's his thinking, because there's just nothing to prove that's the case. There's a lot of other things that you can look at to speculate why it's down. You could look at things like the league skewing older. Younger people are more into live streaming. They're more into video games. They're more into social media. That could be why. And that's not going to benefit Vince McMahon if he's trying to get into a football league, right? Then Sports Illustrated did a story in November of last year talking about how they think popularity of football is on a decline because fans miss quote-unquote old-school football with big hits and less paranoia about safety. There's no chance Vince McMahon is going to create some kind of an old-school league where he's encouraging guys to do helmet-on-helmet hits. No chance he's going to do that when pro wrestling is his bread and butter, and you're already worried about CTE concerns.
We got a story with Daniel Bryan up on Fightful right now, where he's talking about, like, he talked to Peter Rosenberg, and Peter Rosenberg mentioned, yeah, it is a little unusual when you see guys who have been allowed to perform before, and Daniel Bryan goes, no. It's a little weird when you see guys who are allowed to perform now, and I'm not. They brought back Tommy Dreamer. Bully Ray was there. Devon was there. Devon has canyons in his forehead.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
You ever seen Abdul the Butcher put like quarters in his? You ever seen that? Yeah.
Dusty as well.
Yeah. Now, another reason why Vince might want to do this, aside from the tax benefits and all that, is rights fees. Because rights fees for live sports continue to skyrocket, even though ratings have been slipping, not just in the NFL, but in general. Same with the UFC, because live sports are considered DVR-proof, right? And so there might be somebody out there that's willing to throw money at this because it's a live sport, and in theory it'll be DVR-proof. But I'm going to tell you my opinion. And January 25 is when supposedly there's going to be some kind of an announcement made. My opinion is that he is not looking to create a football league. I think that he is looking to invest in either a new venture that someone else is putting together, or he's looking to invest in something that already exists.
Like arena football or something?
Either
maybe?
arena football, maybe NFL ownership. I know the Carolina Panthers are going to be up for sale. So maybe he's thinking about NFL ownership. Maybe he's looking at arena football. But I think it's going to be something like that. I don't think that he has any plans of doing a major endeavor again like what he did before. I think that he took enough of an ass kicking, and I don't think he plans to do that. I think that he's just going to look to invest. And that statement from WWE was very carefully worded in talking about investments and stuff. It didn't talk about anything more than that. So I think that everybody online going crazy about, oh my God, he's going to bring back the XFL. I just think that's inaccurate.
I had a lot of people asking me, why doesn't he just buy the Carolina Panthers outright? And I said, he can't afford it. He does not. But their value last year was $2.3 billion. They won't sell for that, but that was their value last year.
No,
Vince
but all he has to do is
anywhere near that much money.
No, but all he has to do is get an ownership group together. Do you think that Magic Johnson could afford the Dodgers?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Diddy wants to buy them, and I know that Diddy and Vince McMahon are actually on good terms.
Yeah, and that's all it would take, right? I mean, that Colin Kaepernick guy saying, I want in. With all due respect to Colin Kaepernick, there are people at Tim Hortons that have as much money as he does. With all due respect.
Like working there?
Could be, or franchise owners potentially.
I was gonna say he got like a $120 million contract.
Did he get to keep it all?
He didn't get to keep a lot of it. No,
I didn't think so. But it would be an ownership.
He's doing okay, but he's not in the Diddy Vince McMahon realm, obviously.
Right. Now it'd be a situation where there'd be 7, 8 owners or something, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I think it's going to be. I think that all of the online hoopla about Vince McMahon is going to relaunch the XFL. I think it's just hoopla. And I think he's just going to invest money into other ventures. And that's all I think it is. That's just my personal opinion. And again, when you look at it from the aspect of he can just use dividend money, not pay tax on it, corporate tax rates are going down, rights fees are still skyrocketing. All that makes it make sense. So that's kind of how I look at it. And
when I got word of that, I remembered Top Rope Travis's tweet, and if you all don't follow him, he is a great follow on Twitter. Great veteran of America. Not that you would know anything about that in Canada, but was
that a shot, Nigel?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it might have been.
No, it wasn't a shot.
No?
You all don't have a military up there. You can't deal with shots.
What?
Okay, the difference is
South Park the movie. I know what your all's military looks like.
Right, here we go.
The truth comes out.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just because the whole world doesn't hate us, Sean.
I wish. It wasn't like that here. But I was just like, man, this is going to be a mess. Honestly, if it does take his focus off WWE, I would be a little relieved. If this was like his retirement project, that would be kind of cool, in my opinion.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Speaking of retirement projects, Mason Ryan has transitioned from the world of pro wrestling to Cirque du Soleil. I spoke to him recently, and he's relocated to Las Vegas. I spoke to him last year. We had a great talk about his transition from performing to performing, but definitely categorically different. Take a listen. We talked to you almost a year ago, right around this time of the year, about your work with Ka. How has that changed since last year? How's your body holding up? How's your mind holding up with a schedule like this?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been a year. It's gone by so fast. I remember speaking to you about a year ago now. It's obviously then everything was a lot newer. It'll be 2 years this month since I've been at CAR, so I was probably been in about a year at the time, and it's still kind of, even though a year sounds like a long time, here it goes by very quick. So still kind of finding my feet and kind of trying to really nail down the role. So, in the past year, I've really been able to explore more with the character and kind of improve the character a lot, in my opinion, kind of create more levels to the character, which I've really enjoyed doing, actually. Along with, actually, we've really worked hard on improving the fight scenes, which were already really good, but we've created some really, really cool choreographed fight scenes that I'm really proud of now. And as you said, in terms of my body, I feel great. We have some fantastic physical therapists here, and they do everything at Cirque du Soleil and at CAR to kind of ensure that, we're in the prime physical state, that we're fit and healthy and ready to go at all times. So they really do take great care of us. And mentally, man, I'm really good. I'm very happy. I got a fantastic job here with great people that I work with every day, and I'm really proud of the show that we put on. So, you know, the only problem I have is time's going by too fast. That's the only problem I have, because I'm enjoying myself so much. Literally a year has gone by since the last time we said, and it's just, someone asked me, I would have said a couple of months back, you know. So that's the only thing that I don't like so much, is that old age is creeping up on me, I guess, being 35 years of age now. But everything else is really good, man. I'm loving living here in Vegas. I'm loving what I do, and I'm loving working with the people that I work with. So life is good, man.
Did your pro wrestling past like really set you up for success in this role? Because you mentioned developing a character, you mentioned fight scenes and things like that. Did that help you, or did maybe that change of pace was that a heavy adjustment?
No, not at all. Yeah, 100%. Wrestling primed me for this job without an absolute doubt. You know, so many things that I learned and did in the wrestling world I've carried over to what I do now. There's a lot of similarities in what I do now to what I did in wrestling, and I've been able to bring a lot of that over. You know, obviously in wrestling, you know, the physicality is a big part of it, and you know, having good matches and kind of being athletic and putting that kind of side of stuff on. But it's also really important to portray a character, you know, because if you're just a blank canvas and you have good matches, well, nobody really cares. But if you're able to portray a character and create a character and create a character and portray that through your physical presence and your movements, without saying so much, you know, because there's no real speaking roles here in the show. So to be able to portray that through movement and the way you interact with other people physically and stuff like that, you know, all of that comes from wrestling for me. Everything that I do in the show, for the most part. So yeah, it's been massive for me. I was really lucky to fall into wrestling and kind of have so many great years and have such a great experience with wrestling that it's brought me to something that I love so much right now.
All right, we're back.
He told me that WWE hooked him up with that gig, and he actually beat out, I think it was like Lance Hoyt for that as well, and some others, which is kind of interesting. We've heard this a little bit lately, like you mentioned Alex Riley beat out The Miz and Chris Jericho for the Steel Horse role. Mm-hmm. Kind of good that WWE was able to get one of their guys that they didn't necessarily see anything in, but they saw an opportunity for him there. So credit to WWE for that.
For sure. It's too bad that he was talking about old age when he's 35.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me, Sean.
Well, I'm getting there.
Yeah. But no, good on him. It sounds like a good gig. Sounds like he's liking it too.
Yeah, he is. Every time I talk to him about it, he seems really optimistic and happy. Right. And that road schedule, just like of WWE, like he's not taking bumps anymore. He's still kind of like portraying like a wrestling type character in the Ka show, but he seems very happy with the move. And I'm all for people who are, if they can keep from taking bumps or getting hit in the head, moving on to something else.
Oh yeah, for sure. Probably making decent money too. I bet you.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, good for him. So you know, Sean, when I came up with the idea to launch Fightful, you know, I wanted to do a crossover site because there's a natural crossover between pro wrestling and MMA specifically, and then boxing to a lesser degree. I got to be honest with you, I did not know when I came up with this idea that there would ever be a time when the Young Bucks would piss off Daniel Cormier. Can't say I saw that coming.
Here's the thing about this, Jimmy. When you were setting that up, I didn't know what story you were going to talk about.
Oh,
there's
yeah?
like 7 right now.
Yeah.
There's like 7. There is Colby Covington, who is jumping between Impact Wrestling and UFC. There's Chase Sherman involved with Colby Covington and the Young Bucks, where he called it out. There's the Mayweather hopping over to UFC thing. There was the Conor McGregor news that I reported today about WWE not having any plans for him in the near future. Like, there are so... You picked a good time, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of crossover news.
Well, this one was an interesting one. I actually was surprised that Cormier got so... I don't know if flustered is the right word, but I was surprised that it agitated him to the level that it did. So last Friday, Ring of Honor had their final battle show from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. And
there was a post-show podcast, by the way. Go check it out.
There you go. There was a 6-man match for the 6-man tag team championship. Featured the Young Bucks and Hangman Page against Flip Gordon, Dragon Lee, and Titan. There was a spot early in the match, and you know me, Sean, so you know what I thought of this spot. But I'm not going to blast it on social media. But there was a spot early in the match where 2 of the guys were in the ring. They were doing, some Irish whips and flips and stuff like that. Then they both tried a drop kick and missed. Then a guy came in from each team. They both tried a drop kick and missed. Then the other 2 guys came in from each team. They both tried a drop kick and missed. Then all 6 guys threw drop kicks at the same time, all missed. And then all stood up and kind of looked at each other looking for that crowd applause. So Jim Cornette is the first guy. So what happened was somebody posted the video of that spot and said, I can't believe Dave Meltzer compared the Young Bucks to the Midnight Express. That's kind of where it started. And Jim Cornette, being Jim Cornette, tweeted Dave Meltzer. And Dave Meltzer, is pretty notorious for being a Young Bucks fan because they created a move after him called the Meltzer Driver. And so he does kind of go out of his way to put them over whenever he can. But Jim Cornette hit up Dave Meltzer on Twitter. And he said to Dave Meltzer, I love you, but please tell me that you did not really say this. WTF, 2 grade school kids doing pretend wrestling and thinking they're hot shit? Seriously. A bunch of people... He
was the only person I didn't get a response out of in this situation that I tried to.
That's a big surprise.
I said, why grade school? What?
Right.
These are 190-pound men now. They've added some muscle.
I mean,
I know, but that's what he always tries to do.
But see, the other thing about it too is, first off, Bobby Eaton was not Hulk Hogan.
No, he wasn't.
Right? That's number one. And number 2, with all due respect to this whole pretend wrestling thing, wrestling was predetermined 30 years ago, just like it is today.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. The reason why it became predetermined is because the matches were so goddamn boring back in the day.
Right.
That they had to start working them because people weren't showing up to them.
Right.
My catch wrestling coach, Jay Groom, so you all can follow it, Crossface Killa on Twitter, posted a video because people started to say, Irish whip's not realistic. Well, there are reasons for the Irish whip. Mm-hmm. All this stuff is generally rooted in some sort of realism.
Right.
That's one of the bases of catch wrestling. It's pro wrestling that really works. That being said, in my years of catch wrestling training, I've never tried to drop kick 5 people at the same time. Did I like the spot? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But is it really racking my brain that much? No. I've said this a million times, Jimmy. I think that perpetrating like having a Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring, who is supposed to be this top of the card main event wrestler, sit in a rear chin lock for 2 minutes is far more insulting to me than that.
Did you know that his nickname is the King of Strong Style, Sean?
I've learned that this week and every week prior, actually.
Yeah.
There are little things like that, and Daniel Cormier said, this is BS, I only want realism. Then Phil Baroni chimed in and said, back in the day, moves meant something, and then used the goddamn shake, rattle, and roll as an example. I was like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. The move where Honky Tonk Man shakes his wiener and ass at the crowd, locks a guy to sleep, and hits a swinging neck breaker, that's the hill you're going to die on.
And he was one of the worst workers of the era, the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah. Weird.
Well, I want to go back to Cornette first because Matt Jackson from the Bucks, he responded to Jim Cornette and he said, Jim, when you ran Ring of Honor, the building in that very clip was half full. I know because I was there. And I think that was a pretty good response. Now, again, Cornette's reaction you would come to expect. And a lot of what Cornette does, he does for self-promotion purposes. I didn't expect Daniel Cormier's reaction. And he tweeted, this is his quote on Twitter. He said, this is actually pathetic. This is what people want to see. Go to a god-dang gymnastics competition. Suplex, body slam, pile driver, do some old school wrestling, man. DDT, I remember when the Frankensteiner was the most you'd ever see someone flip. I say boo to this BS. And I got a ton of reaction, like you said, from MMA fighters responded to it, pro wrestlers responded to it, a bunch of wrestling fans responded to it. And like we have already kind of talked about, I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks. I've talked about it many, many weeks. Yes, they're supposed to be a parody of wrestling. That's fine. I'm not into it. I don't find them entertaining. I think it's kind of stupid. And that spot with everybody missing dropkicks, I thought was stupid. But that's just my opinion, right? And opinions are subjective, and if somebody else digs it, good on them. I don't think it's up to Daniel Cormier to decide what's pathetic. You know what I mean? If someone digs it, then they can dig it. And I actually sent a tweet to Daniel Cormier, which I knew he would never answer. And I said, well, he wasn't going to answer mine though, because I basically said these things are subjective, Daniel. Some people are fans of yours, and some aren't. And so he didn't respond to that. But.
Yeah, it all came from a tweet from UFC heavyweight Chase Sherman, who posted the clip and said, "Grown men watch this." Now, Chase knew what he was doing. Whether he actually feels that way, I don't know. But I've said this on the Holy Smoke show, where you all can actually see Showdown Joe's reaction to the spot, which was kind of funny.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I'm gonna go watch it.
Yeah, I had him watch it in the middle of the show, and he was like, "What are these guys doing?" But Chase Sherman's social media game, he's the WWE and everybody else is Ring of Honor, and like he's that good. And they got a lot of responses. Shayna Baszler defended it, like he's like how MMA fighters would say that's fake, and then be like, "Dude, the Dragon is a White Walker now," like things like that. It's rooted in realism, but ultimately you go back to that Max Landis video. It is a show about wrestling, and there's a lot of different styles you can take. And I talked to Daniel Cormier about it, and I entertained his tweet because I knew that he cared. I've mentioned this on several shows this week. When we sent Brandon Howard there in the middle of his weight cut, Daniel Cormier was excited to talk to Brandon Howard about WrestleMania gate numbers and attendance.
Yep.
So I knew that he respected it, and I respected his thoughts. The Jim Cornette thing, not that I don't respect his thoughts. I feel like a lot of it is shtick. So when he's calling the Young Bucks grade school kids, and I'm like, they're normal-sized human beings. They're 5'8", 5'9", 190 pounds. Actually, might be larger than most non-athletes. Like, what grade school kids? How? Because they're not pumping their heart full of fucking steroids and dying at 35. Like, is that why they're school kids? That's why he tried to make this his agenda. He tried to make it like wrestlers don't look like they used to type of thing. Like, and we see today.
Pretty good Jim Cornette impression there, man. Not bad.
You know,
I like your Bray Wyatt too.
Yeah. Oh God,
it's pretty good.
You do the hokey pokey, man. You turn yourself about. That's not cool, man. That's not what it's all about. But
that's not bad.
Like Jim Cornette tried to make it and like his agenda, and it's
everything he does, he has an agenda.
Here's the thing: you'll see in stuff like that, aren't Jim Cornette and Vince Russo more alike than they would ever care to admit?
That's why they don't get along.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette tried to make it his agenda. I don't like the Young Bucks and these grade school kids, these little guys. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's an unusual one. And Daniel Cormier, when I mentioned to him, I was like, man, I've seen flip kicks, cartwheels, spins, run off cages, and all kinds of stuff in MMA. It's like this. If you told me that Cody Rhodes' disaster kick would be one of the most famous spots in an MMA company's history, I would say that's not realistic. And then Anthony Pettis ran up a cage and kicked a man in the face.
Yeah.
Like, it happened.
And again, when you look at Cornette, and again, we know that everything he does is just to keep himself relevant, keep himself in the news, and that's fine. But he was involved with with Chris Candido, who was a smaller wrestler. He was involved with who was Tom Pritchard and his partner? What was the name of their team again? The Heavenly Bodies.
The Bodies, yeah.
They were smaller wrestlers as a tag team.
Yeah, but even then, they were both pretty big. Like, the small guys were like 230, 240, which are heavyweights in the UFC. But the Young Bucks, if they were in the UFC, they'd be the third weight division from the top.
I don't think they're 190, Sean.
They're 190. They're 180, 190, yeah.
75.
They're up there.
75. Tops.
Okay, well, they're still the third division up then.
Well, that's because they're not cutting.
Well, there you go.
It's a big difference.
Now, that's kind of moving away. Either way, they're not like... And if they were little, what's wrong with that?
No, and there's nothing wrong with it. And again, it comes down to just subjective points of view. And I've talked many times about, I personally, as a wrestling fan, I enjoy it the most when I can suspend my disbelief. That's when I enjoy pro wrestling personally. And the reason I'm into a guy like Brock Lesnar is because when Brock's in there, you believe what he's doing. You know what I mean? And you know that he's going to stray off the script if he feels like it. That's why I enjoy a guy like Brock Lesnar. And to me, the Young Bucks are like cartoons. And I'm just not into it. But that doesn't mean that other guys can't be into it if they want to be. That's their right, I think. So I was surprised that Cormier was rattled that much by the whole thing. You know?
Well, yeah, and the thing I brought up was he's a noted Seth Rollins fan.
Yes, because remember Mania that year, yes.
Yeah. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there would be people shitting all over Seth Rollins doing a Phoenix Splash. There would be people shitting over Seth Rollins doing like all kinds of moves, saying that's unrealistic.
Right.
That's too many flips, too many dives.
Right.
You don't have to like it. It is subjective entertainment, and
it is.
It's a variety show.
Yep.
Ultimately.
I agree.
And I respect Jim Cornette's experience and his thoughts on a lot of things. I respect Daniel Cormier's opinion, because I think that he could go in with a guy like Josh Barnett and they could have a fun pro wrestling match as an exhibition.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't doubt that at all.
I have a lot of respect for Daniel Cormier. I don't know about Cornette since he told me to go fuck myself. But
did he? I thought he was. Oh, okay. So he did tell you to fuck.
Yeah,
yourself.
he did. He told me to go fuck myself. So I don't know what I think of him, but I have a lot of respect for Daniel Cormier. I think Daniel Cormier is pretty cool. Let's talk about the. Do I have time for this? Yeah, let's just get to it. So WWE announced on Monday night that, and this had been speculated. Matter of fact, I think Jeff Hawkins was the first guy that kind of talked about this, but there's going to be the first ever Women's Royal Rumble this year as part of the Royal Rumble. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, they haven't announced the number of participants, have they? They didn't say 30 women, did they?
Not yet, no.
I didn't think so, because I don't think it's going to be 30. I think it's probably going to be closer to 20. But they announced it, and
that'll get shit on, too.
I think it'll be okay.
There will be people that are like, oh, lesser than the men and all that stuff. It's just they don't have as many.
They don't have the roster. No, that's exactly it.
There are people saying like, tweeting me dumb shit like, "Oh, WWE has 20 women on the roster. Ask me to give a fuck whenever there's the same number as men." I'm like, come on, come on. Like
people we've talked about it, people are miserable and they're going to shit on whatever they can shit on.
They just want to be unhappy. It's so weird.
Now, I got to say, I applaud the news. I think the girls deserve it. I think that a lot of them have worked really hard to get their in-ring at a certain level. I think that the roster is deep enough that they can do it. Plus, I think it's going to be entertaining to see who they bring back for the match, like they do with the men. Like, I bet you we're going to see Lita. I bet you we're going to see Trish Stratus. We're probably going to see the Bellas. Maybe they're even going to bring back Awesome Kong or Molly Holly or Beth Phoenix or Eve Torres. So I think that part's going to be pretty interesting. But did I hate the setup, Sean? Did I hate? I can't emphasize enough, hate the setup for that. Here we have these girls. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. Is the storyline not that Paige's group is feuding with the other women on Raw? Is that not the story?
Yeah.
So, and they supposedly, Paige's group is hated by the other women, which is why the other women always run in when they're in the ring. Is that not correct?
Correct.
So here's all these girls brawling in the ring. It's Paige and her girls against the rest of the women on the roster. They're brawling in the ring. There comes that stupid music. Celebrate, whatever the hell you said, style and grace. Here comes that dumb music.
Sing the song.
Yeah, one of these days. And then what happens, Sean, when these girls are brawling and that music hits? They stop fighting for no reason. Look to the stage. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like the kids in school that are doing something bad because the teacher's out of the room. And then the teacher comes back in and slips back in and then they're like caught red-handed. You know what I mean? It was stupid. And having Stephanie in there, she's supposed to be a heel, but then when they do moments like this, suddenly she's not a heel anymore. Now, all of a sudden, all these girls who had just been brawling, and the three of them are hated by the rest, they're all holding hands, and they're raising their arms together for the photo op, and they're doing a yes chant. I cannot describe how much I hated it. Hated it. It was so bad. Stephanie McMahon, if there's anybody listening, if you want to maybe just kidnap her, and for a period of like 3 years, just like keep her hostage someplace for like 3 years. Don't kill her, but keep her hostage someplace for like 3 years. Then you can bring her back because she's got children, so you can bring her back. But for like 3 years, just keep her hostage someplace, keep her safe, feed her, but keep her someplace.
I just want to say, shout out to Dick_Tickles who sent me my favorite tweet of the week.
Really?
I posted a photo, the group photo.
Yeah.
Now, I've said this, like, I've worked a lot of turd-level indie shows, and it never fails. On those turd-level indie shows is like a, wow, we pulled off a show without burning the goddamn place down. Group photo. I say, nah. I say, nay. I say, no. That's cheesy, that's corny, that's stupid. They had Alicia Fox holding like Mandy Rose's hand up in the air a week after she got attacked by it.
Exactly. It was so stupid. It was so stupid.
In the group photo, Dick Tickles says, and look who's right in the middle. Mother Goose herself. Wouldn't doubt if she ends up being a surprise entrant. Then wins the Rumble. Then wins the belt at Mania. Then beats Asuka's undefeated streak. From here forth, Stephanie McMahon is known as Mother Goose.
And why does she have to wear 6-inch heels when she's already probably 5'9" barefoot? Yeah, 5'8" barefoot. Why do you got to wear 6?
Bigger than all these
right.
women.
And she was in line next to Alexa for that shot.
If Jessamine Duke makes it to the main roster, Stephanie McMahon will wear the biggest goddamn platform shoes you will ever see. She will be on stilts to be above this woman. Like, it will be. I just can't. Like, if Jazzy Gabur is in there or anybody, like, oh, she's got to be bigger than everybody.
Nia Jax was the only one taller than her.
Yeah.
Of the whole group.
Here's the thing, like. Man, like, at what point do these women stop acting just like, wow, gee, thanks, Steph, wow, instead of being like, yeah, bitch, we deserve it.
Right.
Of course.
And when you look at Ronda Rousey,
right? This a long time ago.
When you look at Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey, I think, deserves a lot of credit for being a pioneer for women's MMA, especially with the UFC. Ronda Rousey would go out there, she would do her job, she would win her fight, they would raise her hand, she would go to the back. There was never any of this, grabbing the mic with Joe Rogan talking about, I did this for women, and I did this for the women's revolution. She just did her job, she won, and that's how she got recognized. You don't get recognized because you're asking for the attention. You get recognized by your performance. And
exactly.
And the girls got recognized. And the reason they're doing this Royal Rumble is because Charlotte busted her ass, and Sasha busted her ass, and Bayley busted her ass, and all those girls busted their ass in order to get their work rate where it needed to be. That's why they're doing this. But Stephanie had to be the center of attention. And we've talked about it before, good heat, bad heat. She is so irritating. And as soon as I hear the first two little words of that music, Sean, I'm done with the show, man. I am. I'm done with the show. And I'm going to be honest with you. I caught the end of Raw on Monday night, and as soon as I heard whatever is Style and Grace, I muted my TV, Sean. I did. I muted my TV because I'm just tired of it. It's not entertaining. The show's ratings are dropping come the third hour, and I know that's a trend, and you can't blame Stephanie. But I'm going to go ahead and blame Stephanie, Sean.
Why not?
Going to do it.
Seems fair.
Let's go to Stupid People.
This is a stupid song, it just goes on and on. You might find some meaning, but you would be wrong.
I should call this Trevor Strong Stupid People.
God damn.
TrevorStrong.org. Usage of the stupid song. Now, Sean, let me tell you, man. I'm making it my I don't know if agenda's the right word, but I'm making it my goal every week to find at least one story that fits into the Sean Ross Sapp criteria of stupid people news.
No, we're getting some weenie news.
So, well, weenie or shit. Weenie or shit.
Yeah, fair.
So every week, and once again, and I've talked about this before, it's so easy finding stupid people news because there's so many stupid people. And I did not think it was going to be so easy to find stupid people news related to penises or shit. But I found it, Sean.
Oh my God, it's so easy.
It's not hard. So let's get to this.
You
so
can
this
find it
first
in a local
one,
paper out here.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
So this first one, and I can't wait to get to sex pasta, but we'll get to that one in a minute. So this first one, was reported by the La Crosse Tribune out of La Crosse, Wisconsin on December 13th. Get this one. There's a man named Randy Bolstad. He called 911, and he told them that he lost money inside an office building, and if the officers didn't arrive to help him out soon, he was going to break in order to get it back. They asked him on the phone, how did you get inside to lose the money in the first place? And he didn't really have an answer for them. So they suspected something was up, so the police showed up. By the time they showed up, he had taken off. And that was on a Saturday, okay? That was on a Saturday. 2 days later, Monday morning, there's a 911 call by a person working at the building saying their laptop was missing. And they had found condoms and loose change in the bathroom.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So the man broke in. Lost money. How much money did... Okay, there...
it gets better, Sean.
I am made of questions right now.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. So the police They showed up. They were doing their search around the bathroom and all that stuff. Inside the bathroom trash can, they found Randy Bolstad's probation papers.
Oh, son of a bitch! This fool. Okay. So I know what I know. I pieced it together.
Have you? Good
right
for
here
you.
has pieced it together.
Good for you.
He showed up there, and he was like, "How can I just fuck myself?" Well, I'm gonna need a condom first.
Right.
How can I just fuck my life up and fuck myself? Oh, I know how. I'm gonna break into a place,
Yeah.
leave DNA there, leave my papers there.
My question is, who travels around with their probation documents and then leaves them behind at the place they just broke into and burglarized? Sweethearts, man.
Somebody who wants to fuck themselves.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. So they found him. They arrested him. He's in jail.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Yeah. This next one, man. Oh, these stories are so good, Nigel. You think that they're fake, but they're not. These people exist. So this was reported by Cleveland.com on December 14th. A 22-year-old student at Youngstown State in Ohio. His name is Albert Maruna IV. He looks like a 22-year-old Jonah Hill if you look at his mugshot.
Which one, fat or skinny Jonah Hill?
Oh, the fat Jonah Hill.
Oh, okay.
He's accused of trying to solicit sex from a 15-year-old boy. And here's the best part, Sean. Here's the best part. Police were undercover online pretending to be the boy. They arranged a meeting with Maruna. He showed up. And as it turned out, he, for some reason, thought that he could use this to solicit sex from this 15-year-old. He showed up with 2 bottles of Sprite and a Tupperware container filled with chicken Alfredo.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I've heard
right.
this story.
Chicken Alfredo.
I've heard this story. First off, chicken Alfredo is delicious.
Yeah.
I get where he's coming from there. Second off, trying to solicit a 15-year-old boy, stupid, bad, indefensible.
Uh-huh.
Sprite, if you ever watch Sprite commercials in the 90s, you can dunk a basketball if you drink Sprite. That's just the rule. That's the rule.
Yeah.
When people used to try to dunk in our pickup games and couldn't do it, we would say drink Sprite. What a just phenomenal resource of our police to catfish some gay dude.
Yep.
I think, like I said, indefensible, but you cops don't have anything else better to do.
Well, he was a
than to
minor,
make,
Sean. It was a minor.
What is it?
It was a minor. It was a 15-year-old boy.
But didn't the cops set it up?
Yeah, but they do that in order to try to fish out these pedophiles, right?
Yeah, they catfished a gay.
Yeah, but they have a division for that. There's a division set up for that.
Sure.
What
of
if
course.
they just wanted the chicken Alfredo?
Maybe they wanted the
Yeah,
chicken Alfredo.
That's what it is. They got budget problems.
So here's how we make it better. So he also had a bottle of lube. He had a container of Vaseline. He had an iPhone, a MacBook, and 3 zip drives. Police found on his phone that he had nude photos, both of himself and of other people that they think were also minors.
Well, I can tell you what he didn't have. He didn't have his probation papers or his condom because he left those in the building he broke into
That's
earlier.
true. He didn't have that. And I learned a new word from this whole thing, Sean. Nigel's pretty smart, so you might know this word. So he was charged with attempted unlawful sexual contact with a minor, disseminating matter harmful to juveniles, possessing criminal tools, and he was charged with importuning. You know what that is?
Importuning?
Importuning.
Sounds familiar.
I had never heard of it. It turns out that importuning is asking someone persistently to do something. So he was probably really hammering this supposed 15-year-old to meet him, right?
Wow.
He was probably yeah.
What a creep.
Yeah. And he should also be charged with poor eating habits, if you ask me. He's got 2 bottles of Sprite and a Tupperware container filled with chicken Alfredo.
Telling me.
So, this last one, this is for the Sean Ross Sapp file. This one. And every week,
I'm ready.
these are so easy to find. It's just so. So it was reported by NorthJersey.com on December 12th. A man in Paterson, New Jersey, was on a rail bridge over the Passaic River, taking a dump. A train came along, and it forced him. They don't know if he jumped off the bridge or if he got knocked off the bridge. They hadn't figured out yet which one of those it was. But either way, he went off the bridge, down into the river. An employee from the train told the press that he saw the man on the tracks with his pants down around his ankles, taking a shit, tried to stop the train before hitting the guy. Fortunately, the guy was pulled out of the water screaming, was treated in hospital, and is apparently fine now.
I mean, what
Like-
do you say?
You ever seen Stand By Me, Nigel?
Yes, I have.
So that story went a little differently than the Stand By Me scene on the bridge. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
So those kids were walking across the bridge. They weren't shitting on the bridge.
No, they were not shitting on the bridge.
But this gentleman in Paterson, New Jersey decided, I guess he really had to go. So he went on the bridge over the Passaic River in Paterson, New Jersey.
True or false? The two little boys in Stand By Me were in love with each other.
Let me see. One of them was Chris O'Donnell, and the other one was...
I mean the characters.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of them. So Chris O'Donnell, or is it Chris O'Donnell?
Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell, and the other was River Phoenix, right. I think that
Watching
O'Connell...
that movie again. I think they were in love with each other.
Well, I think that who is it again? Jerry O'Connell?
Yeah.
Had a crush on River Phoenix's character because he kind of looked up to him as the cool kid. So that's probably what it was.
See, I'm not crazy. My wife loves that movie, and I watched it, and as I watched it, I said, oh, those two are in love with each other, or at least one of them is.
One of them probably is.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. There are certain stories you find for me, and it's almost a challenge. Like,
No, it's not a
get Sean
challenge.
to
That's the
say?
sad part. It's not a challenge.
Yeah. Well,
It's very
what
easy.
Can you get Sean to say? What can I say? What can I say to do that story justice? I know one thing. We're at a time of the year where I think it's important to remember things in our history. Almost 30 years ago, Sergeant Al Powell and John McClane both thwarted a major terrorism attempt at Nakatomi Plaza in Los Angeles. Two American heroes. Let's remember them this Christmas.
Okay, there was another one like that about the Family Matters cop. It was on Twitter.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see he's getting the respect that Sergeant Al Powell deserves it all.
There you go. That's awesome. Can you imagine, just imagine for a second, that you're standing on a rail bridge with your pants around your ankles and you're pushing one out, and then there comes the 6 o'clock train.
Okay, the thing I
Imagine
always
the
wonder
feeling
about
of
this,
that,
Jimmy,
Sean.
The thing I always wonder about this, Jimmy, is what's the toilet paper situation? I always wonder that when these shit stories come along.
I don't think they're thinking that far ahead. No, they're not thinking that far
Do they
ahead.
have it, or they just gotta go?
I think they can't spare a square, Sean. That's what I think. So let's move on. Ring of Honor announced, kind of in line with what we talked about before the little break there, that they are going to be doing a tournament to crown the first Ring of Honor Women's Champion, which I think is a cool thing. They're going to be starting it at the TV taping on January 20th in Nashville, and they've announced that it's going to include such talent as Brandy Rhodes, Deonna Purrazzo, Jenny Rose, Jessie Brooks, Kelly Klein, Mandy Leon, Stella Gray, Sumi Sakai, and Mayu Awatani. So, good for all those girls. Good for the whole thing.
Yeah, congratulations to Deonna for her eventual Women of Honor championship win.
Right, and I mean, she's busted her ass. She deserves it. You know?
Oh yeah, I've seen very few people put in the amount of work that Deonna Purrazzo has.
Yep.
In that short amount of time. Like, she was on TNA pay-per-view 8 matches into her career.
Right, she's still really young now. Yeah.
Yes, she is. So that's my pick. I know they think a lot of Kelly Klein. Kelly Klein is actually married to BJ Whitmer, who does work for Ring of Honor.
Mandy Leon she gets a lot of play. Mandy Leon, she gets a lot of play.
Mandy Leon, I've interviewed her. I'm pretty sure she's with Delirious, who helps run the company as well. So.
Right. Yeah.
But good. It's time to do it. I hope they don't get like Ring of Honor, or not Ring of Honor, New Japan, where every single match is a title match.
Right.
Like New Japan has like 7 or 8 different championships.
Right. Yeah. So speaking of Ring of Honor, I've told this before, how I love when I can suspend my disbelief. I also love it when something is unpredictable. And maybe it's just me, Sean, but when Ring of Honor over the last week, they introduce a new world title belt. They have Cody Rhodes, the champion, showcasing the new world title belt. Then at Final Battle, Cody Rhodes, defending the title against Dalton Castle, comes out with a new look, bleach blonde hair.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking to yourself, he's clearly going to successfully defend his title. He debuted a new title belt. He's got a new look with bleach blonde hair. Cody Rhodes goes out, loses the title to Dalton Castle. I love unpredictability like that. I like it, and so I like to see that, and that happened last weekend as well.
That was a good show. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the post-show podcast. I told everybody that if it did good enough numbers, I would do them regularly because that's how we got to gauge everything. It did. I will be doing them regularly. I mean, my Friday nights are usually kind of an evening off, but You all showed up for the Ring of Honor post show, and I loved doing it. It wasn't hard to carry it for an hour or anything like that. I really liked the show. As you said, I like the unpredictable nature of that because Cody's one of the hottest things outside of WWE right now, whether it's in the ring or not, because a lot of people don't like his matches per se, but that was good. I also wanted to give a particular shout-out to Will Ospreay and Matt Taven because I have never, ever been interested in Matt Taven, and that opening match was very, very hard for the rest of that card to live up to. It was really good, but Dalton Castle, them hitching their wagon to him, not only is he a good wrestler, Jimmy, he's a good character.
You mentioned him a few weeks ago, too. You mentioned him as a guy. Yeah. I think you said he's somebody WWE would want to go after.
If Freddie Mercury were a wrestler, it would be Dalton Castle. And when they brought him into Ring of Honor, he had just such a great natural feud with Silas Young, who is the last real man of professional wrestling. He's got the Magnum PI mustache, and it was just such a natural thing to have this, really a dickhead, Silas Young, about his manliness, feuding with kind of a flamboyant type of character. And it was a really great way, and both of them walked out with championships. Silas Young, a Ring of Honor TV champion now. I like the direction. I'm interested.
Yeah, I thought that was a very creative booking with that main event for sure. So you know how pro wrestling has long done the whole novelty celebrity thing, where they'll bring a celebrity, say at WrestleMania, they'll put them in a match, whatever. They do it for the rub off the celebrity, bring in somebody from the outside world, so to speak. So today, December 20th, Dana White, I don't know if you can say announced, but Dana White said that he is talking to Floyd Mayweather about a fight in the UFC. Yes, this is not MMA, but I wanted to talk about it because, again, pro wrestling has long done this, where they bring in an outside
former WrestleMania performer, Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
Undefeated in WWE, Floyd Mayweather. And what do you think of this, man? So I know that Mayweather said in the past that he was working on a multi-fight deal worth $1 billion. You know Mayweather's full of shit.
Yeah.
But that's what he claimed. My question is, yes, he's Floyd Mayweather. I think back to UFC 118. James Toney fought Randy Couture, did about 570,000 buys. And yes, I know that Randy Couture is not Conor McGregor, and James Toney is not Floyd Mayweather, and I get all that. But we're also in a time now where UFC pay-per-views, sometimes they average as little as 150,000 buys.
Oh, they would do at least 3 million.
I disagree. I
think they would. I think they do at least 3 million.
I don't think so.
Because there's so many question marks. James Toney he couldn't build a fight. He wasn't in shape. He didn't have the legacy of Floyd Mayweather. Conor McGregor is just way more important than Randy Couture from a pay-per-view landscape.
Yeah, but they haven't said it's going to be against Conor McGregor.
No, but I mean that would make sense. And to be honest with you, I said this on Twitter. If CM Punk can take a punch, he beats Floyd Mayweather in probably 90 seconds. He trains with Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley and the Pettis brothers. He's been training MMA for 3 years. I cannot overstate how important it is for somebody to have never defended a takedown before in their life. Go back and watch James Toney, guys. You can count on one hand since the advent of The Ultimate Fighter how many people have been taken down with low ankle picks. That's the first thing you learn is you post your shoulder below the knee, you grab the heel, you drag somebody down like that if they don't know what they're doing. That's what happened to James Toney, and he was subsequently strangled. We saw how easy it was for Conor McGregor to get around the back of Floyd Mayweather. And people have been asking me all day, what kind of matchup do you think they'd give him? And I said, well, I think they would probably just give him Diaz or McGregor.
Yeah, it'd be 155.
He's not climbing the ladder.
He's
not climbing the ladder. No. But if they did, look at what they did in the past. James Toney got Randy Couture. CM Punk got a guy who had been training for 7 years. They don't do these guys any favors.
He will Mayweather. Dana White will Mayweather.
That's the point. Mayweather's a little different. He's got a lot more leverage. They didn't see sustained pay-per-view success in a James Toney or a CM Punk.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, maybe they do. But there's always that point, if they put him in there with a scrub, you'll get the curiosity buys. But
see, here's how I look at it.
Mayweather's retirement fight didn't do shit, Jimmy. It lost money.
Yeah. The way I look at it is I think that the McGregor boxing match, I think it taught a lot of people that the whole thing was just a farce, because that's what it was. And going into that boxing match and after that boxing match, how many people said, "Oh, if this was in the MMA cage, Conor McGregor would wipe the floor with him in 30 seconds"? How many times did you hear that? Right?
McGregor said it.
Everybody said it. Everybody said it.
It's one of the things I said he should do. He should say in the lead up,
yeah,
all right, I'll do your little boxing fight, and then we can go do it in a real fight. And that might be what we're looking at.
I think that the finish is too predetermined. And I also think Floyd's going to be taken care of. I think it'll be a submission in 30 seconds, no injuries. He can, I just think it's a farce, and I think that too many people know it's a farce. So 3 million buys, no chance. I think they'll be lucky to get 2 million for something like that. And then the other question is, Floyd Mayweather is accustomed to making 9-figure paydays. He's not getting a 9-figure payday off 2 million buys. So what are they going to do about that situation? I mean, he could be co-promoter and give his promotion company some of the money, but I question if they're going to be able, unless again Dana White's telling Floyd Mayweather, you know what, it'll be an easy 30-second thing for you. We're going to give you 25 mil. You're not going to get hurt. You know what?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm trying to do the math in my head. If they do 2 million buys, that pay-per-view is probably 80, 90, $100 because it's Mayweather versus McGregor, somebody like that.
Agreed. Yes.
So if we say $80 times 2 million, and then you take half of that off.
I think 40%, isn't it?
Yeah, then they're probably looking at $80 million profit just right there. Just like it's going to be pretty good.
It's not profit. That's not profit.
Well, not profit. That's
top
revenue.
Line.
Sorry,
top line. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it does more than that. Maybe they charge 100 because you move that from 80 to 100, and let's be real, the pay-per-view companies are probably going to give them a little wiggle room on the cut here because the pay-per-view companies want in on this.
Wasn't UFC 200 like $99 or something? If I remember right?
It was more expensive, yeah. But also the UFC is also seeing more and more and more UFC.tv buys and online buys. They broke records doing that. Boxing had never really done that before. Like they'd done here and there, but they didn't get into iPay-per-view, and UFC gets to keep a giant portion of iPay-per-view buys, like way beyond the typical 40 to 50%. So there are a lot of things to.
I think the people that would buy for Mayweather are not doing the iPay-per-view. I think they're casual fans buying the pay-per-view. I think.
Well, UFC fans are more likely to buy iPay-per-views than boxing fans.
They are, but the people that would buy this casually are not UFC fans. They'd be boxing fans looking to see Mayweather get his ass kicked. Well, no, that's honestly what it is. That would be the market.
I am predicting about 3 to 3.2 million buys, which would.
No chance. But you know what?
Yeah.
We got to hold out. We got to wait till we see, number one, is it going to be official? And number two, who's the opponent?
Yes. If it's Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather.
If it's Conor McGregor, they'll easily do two. Easily two.
Based on them doing 4 point something, I think that boxing, I think they could do that. And I think you're looking at a pretty solid number there. But like you said, like getting paid the amount of money that like he's not going to make as much as he does in boxing.
No, and as opposed to boxing, where I think Floyd knew that it was very minimal risk in the boxing match. Mm-hmm. In the UFC cage, even if Dana White says, I'm going to protect you, he could break an arm in the UFC cage. You know what I mean?
Do you think this would cause a domino effect in the revenue sharing of fighters and in the UFC? Because it's way down there. We're talking like in the single digits right now, like their percentage of revenue share.
I think Bellator is going to enjoy the whole thing.
Oh, hell yeah, they will.
I think.
They're going to get some names out of it if it happens.
And because quite frankly, and I don't know who it was. It might have been Joe that was talking about this before that boxing match, saying UFC was a mistake to do the boxing match because McGregor was going to make so much money that he didn't need to fight in the UFC anymore, and then he could kind of call his shots. And that's exactly what you're seeing, where he doesn't need to fight, and he's going to only fight the best matchups, and the UFC kind of needs him because there is nobody else. So it's what a world, what a situation, man. Let's move on and talk about WWN. Good business, Sean.
They just announced a network.
That's why I want to talk about it.
Okay.
So they announced that they're going to do their own streaming service. Based on what I've heard so far, this is not going to work, and I'm going to tell you why. I think I'm batting 1,000 on these so far, Sean, and I'm going to tell you why. So they're calling it Club WWN. It's going to be $9.99 a month. You get 24/7 unlimited video-on-demand access to all of their promotions, including Evolve and Dragon Gate USA and Shine and all that. Now, here's where they're gonna struggle, and I'm calling it. This is where they're gonna struggle. You do not get the iPay-per-views for free as part of the service.
Yeah, that's bad.
You get 50% off the iPay-per-views. So they want you to spend $9.99 for stuff that's already been on tape. Then they want you to pay additional money for the iPay-per-view, which WWE doesn't even request. And then 2 weeks after the iPay-per-view has been live, they're going to put that show on the network as per the $9. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. People are not going to pay $9.99 and not get live content as part of it. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I agree. I know that they talked to multiple streaming services and different things to try to make it work, but they couldn't.
Yep.
I just don't.
Not going to work.
It's hard to get people to pay that much money for a pay-per-view these days when WWE has set the bar at $9.99. It is very, very difficult. I know Ring of Honor has trouble doing it, and that's probably why they want to unleash or roll out a potential streaming service that might have their stuff on it. But the difference is Ring of Honor has the benefit of a broadcast company backing them.
Yeah, but again, this is going to be archived footage.
Yeah, I know.
People aren't going to pay $9.99 a month to see something where they already know the results because it came out, 2 weeks ago or
I'm
later.
with you.
It's not going to work.
So
if they decide, but if they decide, because I'm telling you, it's not going to work. So if they decide, you know what, let's put the iPay-per-views for free as part of the service, then it might work. But then the question is, do they make enough to offset that cost? Because there's a lot more cost involved if you're going to,
Any service you put out there that's more than $9.99 will have that stigma.
Right.
Will have that stigma of, well, WWE does all this for $9.99.
Exactly right.
WWE has that mass appeal. They can do it for $9.99. Like, if we started a subscription service tomorrow, it might not, there are a lot of established players already in the subscription-based service game.
Right.
It's tough to just come out of nowhere and just be like, all right, here you go. A Ring of Honor might be able to do it because they've got such a niche product and established stuff and a relationship with New Japan. New Japan was able to do it, and they've done it well. But they're including their pay-per-views on those services as well.
You have to do that. You have to. Yeah.
So I look forward to David Bixenspan writing something in about a year about that.
Yep. Oh, forget a year, 6 months.
There you go. And I want to say I do wish WWN luck. Matt Riddle's a buddy of mine. Jason Kincaid's a buddy of mine. Jason Kincaid practically writes a book on our website. Like, you all got to check that out over on the Pro Series stuff. Such a vivid writer. I wonder how this affects WrestleMania weekend events, because last year Joey Janela's show that aired on Flow Slam was one of the most popular shows of the weekend. This year, there's no Flow Slam. The amount of content may drastically reduce based on that.
Yeah, we'll see. So last week we talked about the story about Buff Bagwell and Raven with their royalties lawsuit against WWE being dismissed. And it was announced that there was some kind of confidential settlement. And we kind of questioned, did they get any money in this? And is this going to open the floodgates for other performers? Well, good old Chris Harrington, he discovered through WWE filings that Bagwell and Raven didn't get anything from WWE in order to drop the lawsuit. And so what that tells me is that WWE probably indicated to their attorneys that they will let this drag out in court and they'll let them rack up their legal fees. And we know that Raven and Bagwell, neither one of them are in a position financially to go through that. And so that's probably the catalyst for them deciding to just drop the suit and let it go, which is probably also the reason why WWE is reportedly going to now put Thunder and Sunday Night Heat on the network, which they were holding off on doing. And this is very...
That'll put the butts in the seats.
Yeah. Yeah, but they have it. They might as well do it, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it's not too dissimilar.
I went Saturday night up there, too.
WCW Saturday Night. That was their big show.
Yeah.
For sure. But this whole thing wasn't too dissimilar from the broken trademark issue with Impact, where WWE basically told Impact, hey, you want to sue? Sue, because we're going to do it kind of thing. So similar thing, when you've got that kind of resources behind you, you can make those moves, Sean. You know?
Hey, and finally Raven got back to me on an interview I've been trying to get him to do for 4 months. So
there you go. Saying hit me up in 3 weeks, didn't he? Call me in 3 weeks?
Yeah, which is what he said.
Good for him. Keep eating your SpaghettiOs and sleep until noon, buddy.
Oh, come on. I wanted to interview him for the NWA piece.
I shouldn't have said that, Nigel. I shouldn't have said that. But I already did. So
I ate SpaghettiOs today. Fun fact, I went downstairs when I woke up this morning, and I looked for my wallet because I looked in the fridge. There was nothing I could readily cook. I'm trying to get ahead.
No microwave lasagna going on in your freezer right now?
I ate that one time. And I posted it on Instagram because it looked so terrible. But I'm trying to load up on content for this weekend. That way our Fightful viewers have content. I don't want to leave the site bare over Christmas because regular news might be slow, so I've got a lot of retro stuff going up there. So I'm really hitting it hard in the mornings. I look for my wallet to go get some breakfast, some lunch. My wallet's in the car that my wife has taken to work. So I had to go scrape some change out of the change jar because I don't keep cash laying around the house. And I looked at the corner store known as the Handy Mart.
I remember, yeah.
And, well, I've got another story involved, but I see SpaghettiOs with meatballs, and that was the best bet. Now, here's...
It's like I'm rating this shit, Nigel.
Okay. Yeah, no, here's something you would write. I see some breakfast sandwiches from the morning and stuff, because it's about maybe 9:30, 10, and usually people come through at 7, 8 and buy all the sandwiches. And I see a couple, and I just ask, how much are they? As in, how much do they cost? Because I live in a place full of goddamn hill jacks, they thought that I meant, what is the quantity of sandwiches? As in,
how many are there?
Back there?
Okay.
So they started to say, oh, about 3 or 4. And I'm like, no. They don't cost 3 or 4. Like, either or. They are $3 or they are $4. How much are they? Well, I just told you how much they are. No, you didn't. You didn't at all.
Jim Cornette was working behind the counter at the Handy Mart?
Richard's impersonation of Jim Cornette is one of my favorite in wrestling history. That's some good shit.
So a week or two ago, we were talking about WWE's planned experiment for January with the 205 Live Tour.
Yeah.
They booked 3 shows. I forget the venues, but they booked 3 shows at smaller venues, like 2,000-seat-ish venues. And we talked on the show about what a tough sell that was going to be. Mm-hmm. So WWE, I haven't heard much about ticket sales, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that they're soft. Yeah. Because they've announced that Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt is now going to be part of those shows, even though it is not a cruiserweight matchup. They're adding it to the tour to try to bolster ticket sales. So
they should add Finn Balor too.
They could. I mean, Hideo Itami's going to be on it, right? Yeah, Hideo.
It was a hideous debut.
Now, I saw it written down, and then before my brain could react, it just kind of came out the way it reads. But he's probably going to be on. Matter of fact, I think on WWE.com they had him advertised, Hideo Itami. So they could put Finn Balor on the card, but
I think they should as a special attraction because he can work with those people. And he is maybe somebody that will put a couple of asses in seats.
He could, but based on the fact they're adding Hardy versus Bray, obviously this experiment's either going to be, one and done, or if it does well enough, they're just going to continue adding non-cruiserweight matches to the shows in order to help sell them, which they have so much talent, they could very easily do it.
Yeah. Right? Do you think they'll book Kalisto versus the Water Bottle?
I saw that. Now,
keep in mind, if you do that at a wrestling show, you're a remarkable piece of shit, by the way.
Yes, and it did hit the floor first, and so I think Kalisto was actually selling for the bottle. Because if you watch the footage, it hit the floor first and then bounced up and hit him.
It's great.
So I think he literally just sold for the water bottle.
He should have. That'd be great.
Good for him. Lots of other stuff here, man. Dean Ambrose. You know the old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder? You know that saying?
Yes.
I think this news could be good for him, even though it's probably shitty right about now. So Dean Ambrose, they think he tore his triceps on Raw on Monday night during that 6-man tag. He's in Alabama right now at Dr. James Andrews Sports Clinic. He's going to be undergoing surgery imminently. There's no timetable yet for his return on that. Again, it sucks that he's injured, but I think it's good news for him in the long run because I think he's a still character. He's one of these guys that I just don't really care to watch on television. I feel he hasn't evolved as a character. And plus, he's still a newlywed. It's the holidays. Go have fun with your wife in Vegas. That's where they live, so go have fun with your wife. Too bad it happened to him, but I think it's going to work out well for him.
Yeah. As we reported the news of Dean Ambrose on the live post-show podcast Monday, when he was in the ring, like I started to, or on the apron, I was like, okay, he's got that thing. Like Dean doesn't wear a lot of stuff on his arms, and he was padded up, compressioned up. It looked a little bit smaller than the other arm, which I didn't know if that was because of the compression. And I hope he doesn't miss Mania.
Yep.
That'd be bad for him. That would be bad.
That would be. I mean, that's why a lot of the guys do what they do is for the Mania payday. So, AJ Lee, it was announced in a press release that a production company out of LA called EUE Socolo is going to be producing a scripted television show based on her book, Crazy Is My Superpower. She's going to be executive producer and writer on it. They haven't announced anything about a television deal, so I'm going to go ahead and assume they're going to produce a pilot and then shop it around. That's probably what they're going to do. But good for her that she's getting that opportunity. You know?
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Good for her. I had a lot of people asking me if I think that she'll be a surprise entrant in the Rumble. I do not.
No chance. No chance. No. I think you're going to see the Fabulous Moolah before you see AJ Lee in the Women's Royal Rumble. Let's call it a hunch. Okay, I was debating if I should bring this one up because I just don't see this going anywhere, but I'll bring it up. The Dolph Ziggler thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they think they're going to get him over as a performer at any level doing this, but he wins the U.S. title at Clash of Champions. He pinned Baron Corbin to do it. Then goes on SmackDown, cuts a promo about all of his accomplishments, says that we don't deserve him, lays the belt on the canvas and leaves. Where are they going, Sean?
I don't know. I tried to find out right now, and of course, after a Tuesday night before Christmas, you're not going to get a lot of responses from WWE guys, but I'm interested. I want to see what happens. Yeah, I'm a little interested. It's a little bit different because there's the rumors of his contract news. It's all every single time. I don't think his contract's like up as soon as what a lot of people are thinking, though.
And if it was, WWE would not let him go do that. This is all planned out.
He's said something on a podcast recently like, I got to make a decision soon. I think that was him planting seeds. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I used to we've talked about it before. I used to respect Dolph Ziggler a lot as a performer. He's still great in the ring, but he's been calling it in for a while. I feel, in my opinion, he was blatantly emulating Shawn Michaels, who we know he was a big fan of growing up. Right down to actually tuning up the band. I don't know. Whatever. I say whatever.
Yeah.
You know? What do you think of this one? So first, Nigel's big into politics. So first we got Donald Trump. He was elected as president of the U.S. without any political background. Right, Nigel?
Yep.
In 2020, Mark Cuban is hinting that he's going to run.
Cool.
No political background.
Can't be worse.
And no, I think he'd actually do pretty well, Mark Cuban.
I do too.
And now in 2024, The Rock is saying he might run for president.
Does that mean he'll run as a Republican? I mean, that's what it's kind of indicating, right?
So somebody told me that he is a registered Republican.
Yeah, I would. But the thing is, he's so good at not really tipping his hand about that type of thing.
Well,
like,
I wouldn't. You don't want to. You don't want to split your audience.
Yeah, but you have to there.
Yes.
You have to split your audience when it
unless he's he could be an independent. No, or did they not really?
Man.
They don't have a shot.
He lives
right?
in California, right?
He lives in Florida.
Oh, Florida. Okay. Well, okay. I was gonna
It'd
say
be real tough, man. Like out here, I see it. Like it's some of the excuses that Republicans and Democrats make for some of their candidates are just baffling to me. And to me, I wish there were no parties on a ballot. I wish you go into the ballot, you see names only, no political affiliation next to them. I think the terms conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat should be banned from the campaign trail, for the love of God. That should not be what makes your decision.
Yeah.
And
well, at least you're not up here with 187 different parties, Sean.
Yeah, I would prefer that. I would prefer that than two big ones that seem to encompass every belief. It's so weird. But I wonder if he ran and he failed, or if he succeeded, what that would mean for his movie career afterwards. Because in this political climate, when you divide your audience, you pretty severely divide your audience. There are going to be a lot of people in the future who never support anything Donald Trump did.
Oh, well, look at Schwarzenegger.
Like
he hasn't been able to really take off with the movie career after politics.
Oh, I'm stoked for next year's Terminator movie, though.
They're doing another one?
Yeah, maybe next year or the year after.
Another one.
I rewatched them all recently, and they're getting around how he's aged. because, you know, the T-1000 and the Terminators can kind of take the form of another person. So they will base the character on the person they modeled the Terminator after. So he won't be the Terminator. He'll be the person they modeled the Terminator after, which I think is pretty fucking cool.
That's
I've dropped a lot of F-bombs at Christmas.
That's interesting. So he's gonna be the human whatever they call it, the human inspiration.
The plan, according to perhaps James Cameron. Yeah.
Because I know the last one they did CGI for the other versions of the Terminator, right?
Yes, they did.
So okay, very interesting.
Like the first, second, third one, fourth one was trash. Of course, the one with Christian Bale ends up being trash. How's that happen?
Yeah. Well, when you know, man, we got through an hour and a half. Didn't even have time for a second interview clip this week. I told you we might not have time because I had so much stuff to cover. I didn't get a chance to tell my Evander Holyfield story. I'm going to keep this trophy in here, Nigel. and next week, because something tells me that the Christmas week podcast is going to be slow on news. So next week, I'm telling this story about Evander Holyfield.
We've got some NWA news next week. I've got some interviews that we can kind of unleash in relation to the long form I'm doing. I'm working on it like diligently this week. That story I'm going to tell next week on Fightful, guys, is going to be really, really cool because there are like we've a lot of you have seen the 10 Pounds of Gold series, and I got to find out a lot of the stuff that went into 10 Pounds of Gold, a lot of the carny activity that happened in the NWA that you would just look at and say, really? That happened 10 years ago, much less now, or 20 or 30 years ago? I got some great stories. I've talked to probably a half a dozen different people about it. Very excited to give you all that. And, you know, pretty soon my room will just be a trophy case, Jimmy. Like right here. I keep this on my desk as a constant reminder of the remarkable comeback I made in the fantasy football finals in 2015, where Marshawn Lynch single-handedly handed me a trophy, a ring. I overcome things. I adapt. And then we celebrate. I'm sure that this weekend, Jimmy Claus is going to come down my closed chimney. He'll get stuck. I'll let him in the front door. He's going to start throwing out Amazon gift cards.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of stuff. Like those pretzels with the chocolate on them. You'll bring those. Like all kinds of good stuff.
Are you asking me for a present, Sean?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
I bet we will.
Nigel and Lindsay are going to document our Christmas party this week. They'll send you some video and picture footage. So
send them my regards because I really do think very highly of all of your
I was going to say, Nigel's right here. You can send your regards right now if you want.
You know, I did send my regards. I physically sent my regards. I did. But
that'd be like me saying, "Hey Nigel, do me a favor. Can you send Sean my regards?"
Hey, Sean, James sent you.
Work in your office. Just Nigel. I see that Nigel's the only one that matters to you. But
everybody, hey, they're like my children, Sean. I love them all equally. All right. That's how it is. Sure. That's how it is.
So that's what we got, guys. You'll be able to check out the full Mason Ryan interview I did on Fightful.com this weekend. I want to push this as well. I have my Fightful Books It podcast where I talk about Royal Rumble changes. I'm going to release that to non-members. It's been up for members for about a month, and you all can check it out by registering at Fightful.com. Absolutely free. Also, next week sometime, myself, Alex Palowski, Jeff Hawkins will be doing alternate commentary on Royal Rumble 2005. That's what you guys voted on. It's going to be a lot of fun. I talked to former WWE writers, wrestlers, people behind the scenes about that Royal Rumble. A lot of the little aspects that go into a Royal Rumble match that a lot of people don't really know about. I'm really excited about that. If it works out, we'll do more things like that in the future. But stay on the lookout for that too. Just because it's Christmas and New Year's week, it doesn't mean our content is slowing down. We're bringing you great original content. Like I said, Royal Rumble is like Christmas for Fightful. I love it. I'm actually very excited to be here working Royal Rumble at Fightful for the first time because last year, Jimmy, I was in San Antonio.
That's right, yeah.
Man, does that city suck ass. I wouldn't buy SpaghettiOs from their corner stores. That city sucks.
Way to just cultivate that audience, eh, Nigel?
Their social media manager's from there. He says it sucks. When I was coming to San Antonio, he said, not that good. I was like, all right, man.
Okay.
And he was right.
Well, happy holidays to everybody. Happy holidays. Hope everybody has a safe holiday. And I'll be here next Wednesday, man. Nigel will be here next Wednesday, too.
Yep.
I'm excited. Thank you guys for making it in. I know that's right after a big holiday in Canada, Boxing Day.
That's right. Yeah.
Hot dog.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you can follow us at Fightful Online. Follow us on Instagram. I am very active on Instagram now, me and Kyler, keeping that updated. We're going to do some contests on Instagram, Jimmy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Until next time, guys, we are out.